Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today we're going to presenting about the best practice in a developed country on their housing market and compared to what have been practiced in the developing countries. So let's get started. So housing is fundamental for mankind and human race because it ensures safety and security. During the pandemic, the crisis highlighted the numerous challenges that have been encountered by those who live in overcrowded houses, where social distance is very impossible to create, and high risk person may go unprotected. So the best practice on housing market, which on the developed country, which is Germany. So Germany has implemented the initiative for better urban qualities, which is good job, clean environment, low crime rates, as well as good transport links. The increased demand for urban living space has resulted in a sharp increase in rents, particularly for the first-time tenant and as well as the real estate price. At the same time, Germany is the second last country in Europe in terms of home ownership rates. So as for the developing country, which is Laos, Laos is a developing country with relatively primitive economy. So in Laos, majority of the population lives in rural area with close ties to the forest. So because of the poor forest management, the forests in Laos have been degraded for a long time, especially in the growth tourism has bolstered Laos economy, reducing the country's debt and reducing its reliance on the international help.
I will continue with the next, which is comparison of Germany and Laos in the context of supply, demand, and prices of housing. The total population of Germany is estimated in 83.2 million, while Laos has a total population of 7.169 million in 2019. Demand in Germany is the highest compared to Laos. Hike of demand based on to the factor of insufficiency of houses, strategic location, facilities in the urban area, while in Laos the demand is less compared to the German. Besides, the supply of housing in Germany is not affordable to meet needs of the population because lack of vacant land factor and strategic location for develop any housing in the urban area. While in Laos, the supply of housing in the urban area for poor community by provide a low cost housing. In addition, housing prices in Germany are increasing due to the high demand and low supply. For example, the average prices for property in main city was around 2,057.59 US dollar in 2012 and increased to 3,551.2 US dollar per square meter in 2019. In Laos, housing prices also increased from 1,000 US dollar until 2,000 US dollar per square meter in 2016. That's all from me. We will continue with the next presenter.
As we know, the policies enacted by the government will lead some impact in market mechanism directly or indirectly. In Germany, housing has become a significant social welfare concern in major cities. Some of the government intervention in terms of policies implemented in Germany is through Bauspark subsidy. Basically, the German government has a policy that encourages people to buy houses. The Bauspark system is a contract-based savings system characterized by low loan interest rates. Customers that use the Bauspark also receive a premium on their deposit from the government. Next is the Bo-Kindergeld program. The Federal Ministry of the Interior, Building and Community is assisting families with children to buy their first home. Under this program, families with at least one child under the age of 18 in the same household are eligible for a grant of €1,200 per child per year for 10 years in order to buy their first home. Next is the Rental Law Adaptation Act. Under this act, landlords must now present tenants with information on exemption from the rental cost rate and the amount of rent paid by the prior tenants before signing a rental contract. Next is the government intervention in Laos. According to Ban Kiomani, as of 2003, the government has yet to create a concrete housing policy. In early 1991, a national shelter strategy outline was drafted, but no concrete measures, laws or funds were enacted. The majority of the strategies suggested to pertain to land use and accessibility, rural and urban infrastructure, and construction material. The government is currently analyzing the idea of transferring all existing state houses, most likely to those who are living in them by selling to them, in order to reduce increasing housing obligations on people, particularly official workers. In Sustainable Development Goal perspective, the 11th SDG goal is to make cities and human settlement inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. However, different countries employ different housing systems depending on their economic, social, and cultural ideas or views. KfW is a state-owned investment and development bank based in Germany. In the newly committed financing activities in 2018, KfW fund 25 billion euro in achieving SDG 11 includes residential property marketing such as Wokin Dagyal program as a subsidy. While Laos is predominantly rural, the urban population is constantly growing, improving urban services, strengthening urban planning, and reducing the number of people affected by flooding will require to make human settlement inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable.
Okay, next we're going to a current issue in Germany and Laos. As we know, there is a lack of access to affordable housing has emerged in Germany. House price and rent has started to increase relative to income since 2012. In the 7 largest cities, price increased between 2010 and 2018, where it was as high as for Germany on average. Only 32% of housing units needed in the 7 largest cities in Germany were actually built between 2012 and 2015. New construction has taken place, but often in the upper end of the market, not in smaller size, more affordable apartments. The rental price break was only applied to 313 out of 11,000 in 2017. For Laos, there are lags behind its larger and more developed regional peers. Only 70% of the Laotian population still depend on forest and waterway for income and nutrition. About 496 of the 700 units of a new home have been completed for a flood victim in Ethiopia province in southern Laos. The rest was postponed due to a lack of ration fund, according to a local media report from Laos. To conclude, this means that demand of outnumbered supply and property price are rising rather than falling.
The goal of my presentation is to show you the analysis that we have done. So I'm going to focus on the current situation and potential concern of the city that we choose. I choose Frankfurt, Germany, just because Frankfurt is one of the big cities in Germany. So obviously it will give positive impact in terms of housing market. So we go for the current situation. The housing unit in the Frankfurt city is about 351,024 units, and from that only 18% occupied by their owner, and the rest is are rented by the others people. So for the potential construction project in Frankfurt are increasingly focused on housing development, so it will give a positive impact on the housing market. And for the constraint, the analysis show the costs are becoming out of control in Frankfurt, so just because of the housing is too expensive. So for the next analysis is in Vientiane, Laos. So current situation, the population is about 4.8 million people, and traditional wooden house is more dominant from the modern house at the city. And for the potential, for the 2-3 years possible, Laos economy has grown rapidly. So from that, the long-term prospects such as housing can be sustained in the future. For the constraint, because of Myanmar increase the project in Cambodia, so that Laos may be squeezed out of the manufacturing investment, so that it will give negative impact to the Vientiane housing market.
Okay, we go to the recommendation. Firstly, a recommendation issued in German. Affordable housing price rose sharply in seven major cities in Germany. The analysis showed that the costs are becoming increasingly out of the control in Frankfurt, which has surpasses such as Hong Kong to win second position last year. To solve this problem, policymakers should do the work together with private investors, property developers, local authorities and other stakeholders to ensure that construction of new and upgrading of existing affordable housing will take place by the providing financial incentive for the construction of such affordable housing units. Second is recommendation in Laos. According to the Laos sources, construction of permanent homes for displaced victims in Laos, worst at dam collapse in decades, has begun just weeks after thousands of survivors were reported fleeing unsanitary conditions in the temporary relocation camps to which they were first sent after the 2018 disaster. So, we know to the conclusion. The spread of the COVID-19 pandemic wreaked havoc the global real estate market. In many countries, containment measures resulted in total or partial construction site closures, and the resulting income, the revenue losses for the household and business harm the outlook for various segments of the property market depending on the timing and severity of the commencement as well as the severity of the public health crisis which vary across countries. Therefore, demand for outnumbers supply across country and property prices are rising rather than falling. That's all. Thank you.